The tale of two buyers. Right now in San Mateo County and across the Peninsula, there are two completely different types of buyers operating in the same market at the same time. And what happens between them is deciding who wins or who walks away empty-handed. You will not read about this in any headlines. You will not find it on Zillow or Redfin. It only exists if you are at the negotiating table, week in and week out. If you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in the Bay Area right now, the next 25 minutes might be the most important thing to watch before you make a move. Hey everyone, I'm Disen Cai. My team and I work with buyers and sellers across the San Mateo County and the Peninsula every single week, writing offers, negotiating deals, and stay in close contacts with agents all across the entire Bay Area. I can tell you what is actually happening in this market, not what reports said a month after the facts. Today, I'm breaking down something we have not seen in years. Two buyer types, same market, completely different outcomes. I will show you exactly what that looks like. Why is it happening? And what that means for you, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to get into real estate on where things are headed. No fear mongering, no headlines, just the honest ground level picture. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button. We put out real market insight every single week, the kind you only get when you're inside the transaction every day, not reading about it after the fact. Let's get into it. The market looks fine on paper, but something else is happening. If you look at the data for San Mateo County right now, things look strong. The median home price is sitting around $2.3 million, up slightly from year over year. Sales volume is up nearly 20% from this year last time. Homes are still regularly closing above asking price. That is the headline, and it is accurate as far as it goes. But here is what data does not capture. Behind every closed sale is a process. Negotiations, offer written and countered, inspections, contingency period, and sometimes cancellation. When you are inside that process every single week, the way we start to see things that never make it into any reports. And right now, what we're seeing is something we need to talk about. Here is a very common experience that we're seeing in the marketplace working with some of our buyer clients. They put in an offer competitive in price. However, with the anxiety about the market and anxiety and worries about are they going to still have a job next year and how's the stock market going to turn out, and overall speaking, is prices might go down for the real estate market, they end up writing the offer with a competitive price but with contingencies in the offer. And truth to be told, it's very unfortunate. Each time we added contingencies into our offers, unfortunately, majority of the times, we couldn't get the house because there's a better buyer out there that's willing to offer great prices just like us and move forward with non-contingent offers. Compared to a year ago, buyers are much more divided. Some are very cautious and want to analyze every scenario before making a move. Others have already decided if the right home comes up, they are going for it. This is probably the biggest surprise right now. Two buyers can look at the same house and see completely different levels of opportunity. Thinking about relocating to the San Francisco Bay Area? Well, I got just a thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it down below. From top employers, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you will need to know before making the move, the best part about this guide is 100% free. That's right, you heard me right, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment. Hope that helps. Me, buyer A, the one playing the safe. So let's get started with the first type of buyers we're working with right now. I will call them buyer A. Buyer A is not a weak buyer. They're often well qualified, financially ready, and genuinely motivated to buy. But when they sit down to write an offer, the caution shows up immediately. They are not pushing on the price. They want contingencies, inspection, financing, sometimes appraisal contingency. They need an exit rep because somewhere underneath their desire to buy, there is a voice asking, what if everything changes? And honestly, that question is not irrational. The economy has felt unpredictable. The job market, especially outside of few sectors, has seemed hard to read. Planning a 30-year commitment on a $2 million home where the headline feels like a different world every single week is genuinely difficult. Buyer A is not giving up. They are being careful, and we respect that. But in a low inventory market like ours, caution has a cost. Recently, we work with buyers who really like a home and submitted a solid offer, but they want additional protections because they weren't completely comfortable yet. The seller ended up choosing a buyer. It came in with no contingencies. They didn't lose it because they weren't qualified. They lost because other buyer was able to remove all the uncertainty for the seller. Now, contrast that with the second type of buyer we're seeing right now. And this is where it gets really interesting. Meet buyer B, the one who already decided. Buyer B is operating in a completely different mental space. When we sit down to write an offer for these clients, the conversation sounds completely different. They are not asking rather to go above asking. They're asking how much above asking price makes sense. They're not asking rather to waive contingencies. They're asking which ones should they waive, which one to keep for the offer strategy. What makes buyer B different? Largely, it comes down to professional contact. A significant portion of these buyers are in tech, in AI. The sectors are not just surviving this economic moment, they are expanding in it. The company is hiring, their equity is growing, their job feels secure, maybe more secure than it ever has been in years. For buyer B, the question is not rather to buy. The question is, which home is the right one for their family and their future? And when they find it, they move. And here is what makes this so important to understand. These two buyers, buyer A and buyer B, are writing offers on the same properties right now in the same week. And sellers who understand this distinction are positioning their home to attract the one and not the other. When we're working with buyer B, the conversation usually becomes very strategic. They are asking about competition, seller motivation, and how to structure terms. They've already decided they want to own a home. Now they are focused on winning the right one. That's right, the word is very important, winning the right one. Okay, let's pause for a second. What I'm describing is not just an observation, it is a pattern. And the last time we saw this kind of split, this level of divergence between buyer confidence level was back in 2020 when the pandemic hit and the market froze almost overnight. And again in 2023 when interest levels moved sharply upwards and buyers who are already gone under contract suddenly had to recalculate everything. We are not in a market crash. Let me be clear about that. But the signal worth watching right now is contract cancellations. More contracts are being canceled than we have seen since 2023. Buyer A goes under contract, sits in the contingency period, and sometimes the anxiety catch up with them. That data does not appear in any multiple listing service report. Canceled contracts are not tracked publicly. Multiple offer situations are not disclosed. Offer written with contingencies versus without, none of this is visible to anyone who is not in the transaction. Only agents who are consistently working in the market, writing offers, talking to listing agents, accepting offers, signing new listings, building relationships with the top teams, real estate organizations across the peninsula, knows this is happening. That is what we do. And that is exactly kind of insight I put into the San Francisco Bay Area relocation guide. If you're moving into this area or even just thinking about it, that guide breaks down the best neighborhoods, top rated schools, and everything you need to make a confident, informed move into the market. The link is just in the below description. Go grab one. But stay with me because what I'm about to show you next is part that really makes this click. The county by county data actually proves everything I've been telling you. 5 counties, 1 story. What the data actually shows. Let's walk through the 5 counties that make up the Bay Area market picture right now. Because the data, when you look at it county by county, explains exactly why these 2 buyers types exist. San Mateo County. This is our home market and one of the most competitive in the Bay Area. The median home prices is still sitting around the $2.3 million range, up slightly year over year, with sales volume up nearly 20% from a year ago. Homes are still regularly selling above asking. This is where buyer B is most active, and where the gap between a well-prepared offer and the hesitant one is most visible. San Francisco County, a genuine rebound story. The median has climbed approximately 19% year over year, approaching $2.1 million for the average sales price for single-family homes. San Francisco had a difficult stretch post-pandemic, and what we're watching now is the city reclaiming its footing, particularly in single-family homes in the strong neighborhoods. Buyer B is active here too. Santa Clara County, slightly more nuanced. Sales volume is up about 3% year over year, which is healthy. But the median single-family price is essentially flat to slightly down. Homes are still selling above asking. The list-to-sale ratio sits around 105%. But the margin has compressed a little compared to recent peaks. You see both buyer types here, depending on price point and neighborhood. Alameda County. This is where you start to see buyer A's fingerprints in the data. The median price is down about 2% year over year, settling around $1.3 million. Sales volume has dipped slightly. More inventory, slightly longer decision-making timelines. The market is still moving, but with noticeably less urgency. Contra Costa County, the most buyer-friendly market of the 5 right now. Median price is down about 3% to approximately $875,000. More options, more time to think, less competitions. For buyer A, who is feeling the weight of this market, Contra Costa is where you can actually breathe. Here is the pattern, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The closer you get to major tech employment in the Peninsula, the more buyer B dominates. The farther out you go, the more caution enters the picture. The data is reflecting exact same split we're seeing at the offer table every single week. So now that you see the full picture, let's talk about what you actually do with it. What does this mean for buyers and sellers right now? If you're a seller, you will need to know which buyers you are going to attract. This is a function of your price point, your location, your timing, and how well your home is prepared and marketed. The goal is to create the conditions where buyer B shows up and competes. Because when a buyer B shows up, buyer A often does not matter. If you are buyer A, if you are in the cautious space right now, I want you to be honest with you. Caution is valid, but caution without a strategy is just waiting. And in this market with limited inventory and genuine demand at the top of the price range, waiting has a cost too. The right move is not to abandon your caution. It is to build a clear plan around it. If you are buyer B, move with intention. Know what you want, know your numbers, and be ready to act when the right home comes to the market. The buyers who are winning right now are the ones who have already made the mental and financial decision before the listing even goes live. None of this shows up in Zillow reports. It comes from being in the market day in and day out, with both buyers and sellers across the peninsula. I tell every client the same thing. Don't build your strategy around headlines. Build it around your goals. Quick wrap up. Here's everything in one place. The Bay Area real estate market is not one market right now. It is two. San Mateo and San Francisco are seeing strong demand, year-over-year price gains, driven largely by confident buyers in the high-growth sections. Santa Clara is competitive, but slightly more balanced. Alameda and Contra Costa are offering more options and more room to negotiate. Behind all of this data is a buyer story that doesn't make it into the report. Buyer A is cautious, writing contingency offers, sometimes walking away. Buyer B is confident, moving fast, and winning deals. Contract cancellations are up. Multiple offer dynamics are real but uneven. The agents who know this are the ones who are in it every single week, not reading reports after the fact, but writing offers, signing new listings, accepting offers, negotiating, making the calls, and building the relationship that let them see the market as it actually is. The question for you is simple. Which buyer are you? And what does your strategy need to look like right now? If you're somewhere in the middle of that question, if you're trying to figure out where you fit in this market and what your next move might look like, my team and I would love to help you think through. No pressure, just a real conversation. The link is in the description. And if you're relocating to the Bay Area or just want a real insider's view before you make a move, the San Francisco Bay Area relocation guide is in the link below as well. Best neighborhoods, top-rated schools, everything you need to hit the ground running in this market. Go check it out. If you found this helpful, subscribe. We put out real market insights every single week. Not just headlines, not fair, just what is actually happening on the ground. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you feeling more like a buyer A or a buyer B right now? I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know what you are seeing from where you sit. Watch this next video. When you're ready, I will see you there.